All right, welcome to the most compelling talk show on TV, The Desk on Global Television. My name is Anthony Momodu. Welcome to today's edition that promises to give you insight into big talking matters across the globe and in the world's biggest black nation, Nigeria. We must agree and celebrated the World Food Day, which is the 17th of October, 16th of October of every year. But it's very important we talk about it. That's why we're bringing it forward. The fact that Nigeria is among the countries grappling with severe poverty, as highlighted by the recent United Nations Development Program report released on Thursday. The report released that over 1 billion people worldwide were living in acute poverty, with children accounting for more than half of those affected. Published in collaboration with the Oxford Poverty and Human Development Initiative, the report also emphasized that the poverty rates are significantly higher in conflict-affected countries. Just to let you know that the 2024 Multidimensional Poverty Index, MPI, an annual report since 2010, provided insight based on this data from 112 countries, covering as much as the population of 6.3 billion people across the world. That issue is what we'll be looking at on today's edition of the program, The Desk. We'll also be looking at taking you to Edo State, where it's already the alarm bells are already ringing as the Edo State governor-elect, Senator Monday Okpeholo, on Wednesday called on banks to halt granting of loans to the state government during the transition period. He also raised the concerns over the alleged looting of government funds and properties by officials of the Governor Godwin Obaseki-led administration. In a statement released by his special assistant on media, Goswe, he said that the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission will be called upon and the Department of State Services to investigate the matter. So we'll be looking at how important that would be for the outgoing government of Godwin Obaseki. We'll also be taking you to other very important talking points as we focus on electricity in the federal in Nigeria across board, where the Minister of Power, Adebayo Adelabu, says there is no need to have power grids in different regions or states to put an end to the incessant grid collapse. Do you agree? Is one of the talking points. And I've got one of the finest minds in the African continent that will help us look at these and other talking points on today's edition of the program, The Desk. I've got the regional advisor of Quorum Group in the person of Issa Ali Shatta, who is joining us live in the studios. First of all, I want to say congratulations on your new appointment and wish you the very best.
Thank you very much.
All right, let's look at all the important talking points. Food security is one key thing Nigeria and the rest of the world is going through and suffering. Looking at the statistics that was released by the World Bank and the relevant United Nations sister body, are you worried how intense and how acute it is, knowing that Nigeria is one of the countries reported to suffer acute food insecurity?
Yeah, it's very worrisome, most especially if you want to look at the current situation in the country today. You will be a bit scared. The silence is even scarier, because a lot of people are just going about their normal activities, but I can tell you that a lot of people are frustrated right now. And the situation is very tense. That's the reason why you see that even the House of Reps had to, advise the current government of the day to reverse, all of those, policies, that has brought untold hardship to Nigerians. And I pray and I hope that, they can at least look at it holistically and see how we can look at, those pain points that World Bank, had already highlighted. If you look at the statistics or the index, especially in Africa, they've said about, I think, 432 million people are in acute poverty, in Africa. And they've also, postulated that Nigeria and Kenya, might face civil unrest soon. And of course, this is no, again, saying to say, if you want to look at the hardship that is currently going on, in the African continent, you will definitely know that we have serious crises in our hands. We have resources in Africa. That is the painful aspect. We have resources, both human and mineral resources. But unfortunately, our leaders in Africa have not been able to harness this potential that we have in Africa and turn it into massive opportunity, for us. And if you look at the percentage divide of the population we have in Africa, our population is largely youthful, and it is around from 17 years to about 26 to at least 30 years. That is the population of the African continent, and that is a massive capital if you want to look at it from the human capital point of view. But if you look at the global index, most especially in Africa again and in Nigeria, out of school children, malnutrition that is currently going on, even though we have a lot of intervention that is coming into the country and the continent, yet we are not seeing that significant impact, that resonates to what is being contributed or is being, given to us in Africa. And that alone is, again, worrisome because it means the managers of our economy are not doing a lot to better the lot of Africa.
All right, I know you're the regional advisor of African Quorum Group. Let's look at the fact that it's been said that children account for the 1 billion, half of the 1 billion affected children. In terms of the activities of Quorum, how is it helping Africa and Nigeria specifically to get first this 500 million of children, suffering from this, helping them achieve what the United Nations is searching for? Okay,
so the Quorum Group is not a non-governmental organization. It's an investment banking institution, right? But their focus currently is trying to see how they can harness the potential of investment in Africa. And that's exactly what, I've been saddled with that responsibility to do, where we can bring on the platform, those who have technology, most especially technology intervention, because today technology is driving the economy of the global community. And we are seeing how we can drill that down to Africa, where we can harness all of the technology potentials that we have in Africa and turn them to massive opportunity and create massive jobs opportunities for the youth. And the areas that we are looking at are multidimensional. We are looking at the area of health. We are looking at the area of agriculture, of course. We are looking, at the area of the even financial technology itself, because we've not really actualized the potential in that space as we speak. So we are trying to see how we can provide a platform where everybody, both the startup and even the most advanced in their organization, can come together and form one formidable compact organization that can transform to economic advancement.
All right, let's look at, we've got the fact that the data is covering as much as 112 countries across the globe. Does that make it more of a global pandemic in terms of the food shortage?
Yes, we have a global crisis, of course, in our hands, and that is not unrelated with, of course, the crisis that we are having in some pockets of some regions today, as you can see. And of course, you've heard about the significant impact that the war in Russia and Ukraine, had caused, a lot of supplies coming into Africa.
Because of Ukraine is known for
the
grains.
Wheat production and grains, and all of that. So you can see the ripple effect of those crises, trickling down to Africa. And like I've said in several forums, that Africa needs to look inward. And we are supposed to be doing what? We are supposed to be producing what we consume. And that shows you that there's a huge gap, an opportunity as well, for entrepreneurs to tap into and ensure that we diversify, that space, the agricultural value chain, and ensure that we plug it into the different opportunity that exist in the African continent. Now, the war, of course, that is also brewing in the, Arab region. Of course, you can see that Israel also gives us a massive supply, especially in Europe. They supply water. They supply a lot of grains as well. and they also supply a lot of GMO products, across, these parts. So the war in Israel, in the Palestine war, and of course, is now moving into Lebanon and possibly Iran. So the war that is happening and the tension that is also taking place in the Asia, the soft tension that we are seeing in Asia region with North Korea, and say probably Japan and the rest.
China, Taiwan.
You can go on and on. Even in Africa, right? You can also drill it down to, of course, the West African countries that have gone out of ECOWAS. So there's a pocket of crisis here and there, and the global community in the recently concluded United Nations, the hunger, that we had, you can see that some nations have come out to speak directly to the consequential effect of what these wars are causing into the global economy, and how even the global community has contributed billions in dollars to fund the war going on in Russia and Ukraine. And they have said if these funds had gone into productive use, it would have reduced most of these monumental problems that we are having in terms of food shortages and don't forget that we also have a monster in the room called global warming. So we have a lot. We are fighting the human deficiency. We are also fighting the natural disasters as well.
All right, we'll be joined also on the program by no other person but the global president of the Peace, Unity, Restoration and Prosperity Foundation, the Rebuild Nigeria 360 group. He's joining us via Zoom. He's no other person but Model Jeffrey Abidoye, who is joining us via Zoom. Hopefully, he'll be joining the conversation to help us look at issues making the rounds. Talking about Abidoye joining us via Zoom. All right, before we get him joining us, let's move to the next conversation, and we're taking straight to Edo State, where the Edo State governor-elect, Monday Okpeholo, has already cried out that already he has given directives to banks to stop granting the outgoing government loans, and also saying that government officials are looting the state in terms of property and finances. We know that just last week, Governor Godwin Obaseki did call on the governor-elect to bring his own team for the transition process to be seamless. Did you see this coming? And is this a technical move, a strategic move by the governor-elect to cry, ooh, that something is amiss already, even before the handover is completed?
I think it shouldn't be crying wolf as we speak, because whether you like it or not, he's the governor-elect, and he's definitely going to be the #1 citizen of Edo State, when he's sworn in eventually. So he has all the power in his hands to actually probe into the activities, of the previous administration in the last 8 years.
But wouldn't this make the outgoing government become more careful and probably want to cover their tracks?
I think it's too late. I will categorically tell you that it's too late, even if there's something fishy and they want to cover their tracks.
Because they did 20-man committee almost a month before now.
Yes, it will. So, you see, I will be honest with you. No matter how you cover your tracks, especially when it comes to administrative discharge, you are going to definitely leave a loophole behind it.
Okay.
And that loophole is what forensic expert will spot, and they can quickly, identify where there are gray areas. So I feel that the governor-elect shouldn't fright. He should just calm down and ensure that by the time he comes in, he can now constitute a committee to probe into the activities of the previous administration, where he felt or where he feels, they probably would have, gone wrong. But I don't think that, yes, you might say it's not too late or it's not too early, but it will be intellectually sound of an administration to begin to cover their tracks at this late hour. If you ask me, whatever they want to do, if they wanted to cover their tracks, they would have done that, months before now. So nobody will be stupid to be doing that as we speak. So, but I think we have constituted institutions.
Yeah, he has called on the EFCC and the DSS. But what do you think will be the mindset of the DSS and the EFCC now that they've already been given heads up as regards what's playing out? Would that also give them the latitude to begin investigations?
Yeah, some people will, there's this parochial, impression in Nigeria to say that because it's a ruling party that is, of course, moving in now, there's every tendency that most institutions will tilt towards, the ruling party and be less biased, because everybody wants them, not to be biased in their activities. But Nigerians, for now, let me really tell you, Nigerians don't really trust the system going forward. I believe that the current system can redeem their image with constituting a lot of details that can at least be transparent enough for Nigerians to have that confidence in the system to say, yes, the system is doing well. But as it is right now, I feel that a lot of people have lost that confidence in the system, as we speak. And I hope and I pray that at least EFCC and, of course, Department for State Security, DSS, will do the needful. Even though the DSS has said they will be less present in public and they will be doing their primary assignment as constituted, whereby everything they are supposed to be doing is supposed to be secret,
All right, let's move on to the next talking points. We're going to the power sector, where the Minister of Power, Adebayo Adelabu, says there is a need to have power grids in different regions of states to put to an end the incessant grid collapses. The minister stated this on Wednesday when he unveiled the Hexin Livotech, an electricity meter manufacturing company in Lekki area of Lagos State. Adelabu also said grid collapses are almost inevitable in Nigeria given the deployable state of the country's infrastructure. Let's look at Adelabu in close quarters. He has said so many things regarding the power sector. At a point, he said there was a subsidy removal and all that. Now he's saying there should be, in different regions as a way to stop the incessant collapse. But if you hear the fact that it was done when he was unveiling a company that is in that sector, Hexin, do you think that statement is influence, technically telling us where his mindset is to us?
I think the minister should stop speaking to the general public or the media because he's a bad spokesperson. You have director of information in the ministry that can probably articulate what you're doing better. But I think for every time he speaks, there's always
a loophole,
and he comes back to apologize, which I don't think is honorable for the honorable minister, right? He's beginning to sound very embarrassing to the current administration, and I think they should at least take note of that. But now, coming down to what he said several things before, asking us not to switch on our freezers because we have free electricity. Really? That coming from someone who, has gone to the four walls of an institution and is supposed to be civilized. It's really sad that these are the characters that we have, saddled with the responsibility of handling critical sectors. A critical sector like the power sector, right? Coming to tell us that decentralizing the national grid is one of the factors that is, actually causing this incessant failure of the national grid. For me, it's laughable because it's an indictment to you saying it. And what I expect the minister to come out to tell us is solutions. Give us solutions. Tell us, yes, this has been a problem. We have had infrastructural problem for us. We all know that. You are not telling us anything
something new. Yeah.
You understand? And we all knew the corruption that has, taken place right from the inception of democracy in 1999 in that sector till date. What we've been getting is garbage in, garbage out. So what we expect, the minister to be telling us right now is to say, look, we have a blueprint. In this blueprint, these are the things we have identified, and these are the things that we are doing to better the lot. And tell us that you have a metrics that you are using to, gauge what you're doing. So phase one, you are going to ensure that you eliminate the incessant national grid that collapses. Of course, we all know that is because we have not deployed the right technology. If you go to Egypt today and see how even Saudi Arabia, how they monitor their power sector, even in Israel, the point is we have our leaders, they travel to all of these nations, they see things for themselves, but they fail to replicate it. If you look at Dubai didn't just develop, day one. 1975, right? Dubai was almost like a desert. Well, look at Dubai today. They are not even making money from the oil that they have. They are making money from the tourists that come visiting that country, right? They make excess foreign forex from that. They generate a lot of revenue.
I'm just getting a message coming from, we've got Aisha Balogu from Lokoja saying, just yesterday we had the minister say the fact that Nigerians shouldn't be worried. That it wasn't a collapse, it was a chip off. What's the difference between the collapse and a chip off by the minister? She wants to understand what the minister is saying there.
It's just a change of nomenclature. You know, as far as we are concerned.
A collapse and a chip off.
As far as we are concerned.
There's far difference.
There was a problem. There was an outage, right?
That lasted longer than a chip off would.
Exactly. So Nigerians are used to it, funny enough, right? Because I think we are counting since the beginning of the year.
6 times already.
You know, and it's an embarrassment to a nation, you know, like Nigeria. We have so much, you know, resources, but yet we are suffering from 2 problems. And these problems are problems that are also affecting the economy, the power and energy. If you have crisis in these 2 sectors, you can't have a moving economy.
As a regional advisor of Quorum Africa, how does this affect investment? Because the idea is to bring investment in order to help the dollar-naira ratio issue. Does this power sector really pull down the naira?
Great question. Definitely it's going to affect investment because every investor comes in, they are looking at their ROI, return on investment.
Return on investment.
Right? So when they look at their ROI, most especially with the exchange rate. So if I'm coming into the country and I'm investing X dollar, and I'm not guaranteed that in the next 6, 7, 8 months, you know, naira is going to collapse further. So if as of today I'm investing at, let's say, 1,650 naira, and by the time I clock 2 years or 5 years, although I've made significant amount of money in revenue in my ROI, right, maybe pre-tax or after tax, which is net or gross, then at the end of the day, naira is now pegged at 2,000 or 2,500. You can see that if I juxtapose that with as at the time I invested and as at the time I'm supposed to be cashing out, I have made significant loss. So it won't be attractive for any investor to come and invest at this point in time. And if any investor wants to come in, they'll definitely be looking at an investment opportunity that fetches trickles, that comes in trickles, and they can immediately, you know, make their money and take it out. That's the reason why you are seeing a lot of pressure on Forex. Because if investors have confidence in the system, there's every opportunity for them to reinvest that fund in the economy, having that confidence that they are going to reap more benefit. But where there is no confidence in the system, once I generate my money, it comes into my coffers. I immediately want to take it out.
There's a capital flight there.
Exactly. So that I can go and reinvest it where I am 100% guaranteed or I have security to know that my funds are intact. So this is where the problem is. And I feel that if the government doesn't look at this basic infrastructure, the truth is every economist will come on air and tell you that there's El Dorado somewhere tomorrow. They are always optimistic, right? But if they tell you that something will get better tomorrow, it has never gotten better. Trust me, till maybe everybody, you know, extinct from this world, I don't think it will get better. But there are critical things that I feel that we need to do. Those things are, 1, if you look at the current exchange rate, why can't the country peg dollar supply to crude for Dangote at, say, 900? It's our resources. We can decide whatever we want to do with it. We can give it to him free and have a bargaining tool to say, you know what, give us PMS, give us diesel, give us Jet A. The remaining products, we know you have several products that come from crude.
You take it.
You take it. But this is what we want, right? I mean, with that can soften, you know, at least a lot of things, because that's the only thing average Nigerians actually benefit in this economy. Nobody cares about those, you know, promised, democratic manifestos that they have read out. Nobody cares about it.
All right, let's move on to one more talking point before we go for a quick break. And we're talking fuel crisis as the House of Representatives on Wednesday cautioned the recent hike in fuel pump price could trigger social unrest. The Green Chamber handed down the warning as meeting between the federal government and Labour leaders over the increase in petrol prices ended in a stalemate on Wednesday. Let's look at this. It's nice to know the House of Rep or the Green Chamber are the ones warning the federal government. But do you think it's enough to hold meetings that end in deadlock and warnings are made without the real thing, which Nigerians want to see, reduction in fuel prices, even though we have been told that the meeting is supposed to lead to reduction of the prices?
Anthony, my prayer and every Nigerian prayer is that we don't pray to witness any unrest in Nigeria. I am telling you, the situation is extremely tense. I will tell you for free. I've had people who told me that they stopped going back home down north because anytime they go back home from Abuja, people come and knock at their gate. These are people who have held political positions in Nigeria before, coming to beg them to feed their families, right? I witnessed something on Saturday. I went to the pharmacy to get an item. There was a gentleman, if you look at him, you know that this gentleman was doing well. There was a gentleman who walked in, this was around 3:30, 4 p.m. Do you know what he came to buy? He came to buy excess dose of sleeping pills. And the attendant was asking him, I said, you're not even smiling. He said, what is it to smile about? I mean, everything has collapsed. My business, no business is working as we speak. And there's this elderly woman that was standing close to him. I said, sorry, I'm concerned about how you feel. Actually, you're not sounding good. Can I just have a minute to have a chat with you? And he said, I don't have that time. I'm sorry, ma. I've lost hope. Do you know what that means? That man is depressed. That man is already getting to the borderline of depression. That is I'm just giving, this is what I witnessed, right? This is somebody who was even doing well. Imagine those who are down there. The way the economy is today, the middle class is eliminated. You don't have anything middle class any longer. I'm telling you this, Anthony. So even the minimum wage they are talking about, how many people do earn minimum wage in Nigeria? If they give us the statistics, how many people? Majority of the population of Nigeria are in the informal sector. They are wage earners. Now, if these funds doesn't trickle down, how will it get down to the last mile for them to at least have something at the end of the day? Businesses are shutting down. A lot of things are just, going topsy-turvy. I'm telling you, this is the reality. So House of Reps, they clearly understand what they are talking about because they know that if any unrest happens, nobody is safe. We are not safe, Anthony.
All right, very sad commentary there as regards Nigeria. And we'll be going for a quick break. I want to say a big thank you to the Regional Advisor of Africa Quorum Group in the person of Issa Ali Shatta for joining us in the studio and giving us his very deep analysis of all the talking points we've shared this first half of the program. We'll go for a quick break. When we return, topics still ahead for us to look at, and hopefully I'll be joined also by Toba Owojaye, who is a political aide and also a public affairs analyst to help us look at other issues making the rounds. Stay with us. All right, welcome back from the break. It's still the desk on Global Television. While we went on the first half of the break, we've resumed back with a change of guest list. We've got Toba Owojaye, who is making a comeback after like 1 month out doing politics in Edo State, and we're so grateful to have you, Owojaye. Thank you for joining us in the studios.
Thank you very much. Nice to see you again.
All right, nice to be here. All right, we also have the Global President of Rebuild Nigeria 360 in the person of Model Jeffrey Abidoye, who is joining us via Zoom. Abidoye, I want to say thank you very much for joining us via Zoom, and sorry for keeping you waiting. The studio has been on fire, so to say. Abidoye, are you there?
Okay. Thank you for having me. Yes, I'm here.
All right, let's start with you.
Yeah, good evening. Thank you for having me.
Playing out here as regards the talking point. Let's look at the fact that barring any last-minute changes, exclusive gathered that the People's Democratic Party will postpone its National Executive Committee meeting originally scheduled to facilitate the exit of acting national chairman Umar Damagum, because multiple ranking members of the PDP National Working Committee who spoke said he was authorized. It's been hard for them to take a decision, and saying that the NEC meeting would be delayed as governors want to, try to sort out the factions and have a common way forward. Do you think this can be achieved?
Well, thank you so much. The issue with the foremost opposition party that was in power for 16 straight years in this country, that's supposed to be a very standing, giving the government of the day a very robust of what, and then what, and by extension, rekindle the hope of Nigeria, sustaining the hope of Nigeria. But unfortunately, the same PDP is a match in self-inflicted, unhealthy rivalry, petty jealousy, personal and selfish motives. It's very, very, very unfortunate situation. It is very irritating. In fact, Nigerians and the world are disappointed in PDP. Because what you've seen in PDP, I don't know how to describe it. That a party that was in power for 16 years, they lost power just about 8-9 years ago. They have produced all sort of across from the local government to the presidency. Okay, and just under 8 years, they have fallen apart. Today, they are nowhere. It is very, very unfortunate, very unfortunate. It is laughable, but unfortunately, it is very disturbing, because I don't know. Right. It shows that what we have within that party, what we are seeing right now is what Shakespeare described as PV schoolboys, worthless of such honor, joining with maskers and rebellers. It's very, very unfortunate, because one of the major source of inspiration or motivation will have been that whatever it is that maybe the current administration is not doing well. I mean, if you just suppose what we are seeing now with what the APC or the ACN gave the party before the fusion of what do you call it, the Buhari party and that of ACN to form, the present APC in 2013, when Jonathan was in the saddle, to 2014 and 2015. It was a very robust, very engaging, criticisms, and then putting the government on its toe until they push that government out of the system. But unfortunately today, what are we seeing? PDP leaders across everywhere, the board of trustees has failed woefully, the NEC has disappointed the party, and then the National Working Committee has become, schoolboys. All of them just, running helter-skelter and all sort of things. It is unfortunate, very, very unfortunate, honestly.
All right.
because
Let's move away from that and go to the National Assembly. Just hold on. Let's go to the National Assembly where the Senate President Godswill Akpabio has debunked the report that there's a planned impeachment against him, describing it as fake news and figment of the writer's imagination. Do you think the Senate President is completely confident that the 10th Assembly senators do not want him out of the door? Because we've had so many cases where he had made some statements that he came back to apologize.
Yeah, he knows they want him out of the door, but do they have the numbers to take him out of the door? Do they have the grounds upon which to take him out of the door? Yes, he has made some very careless and reckless statements, which, of course, you see the way media works. You can say 100 good things or 99 good things. And when you say one bad thing, that's now amplified to cover every other
news
thing.
becomes the news.
That becomes the news and takes over the whole media. So he has not done well with statements. The last one where he said Nigerians, anywhere they see food, they should eat. Those kind of statements are just infuriate the people, and then it makes those who are against you smell blood in the water. They see an opportunity to use the anger of the people to come after you. So I do not believe that there was no attempt on him. I believe that maybe the attempt was squashed before a petition was even raised. And once a petition was not raised, he can deny that there was nobody even made a move in the first place.
But do you see because he did give an order for investigations to be done,
yes,
and those to come to them. Do you see some witch hunting under the guise of that investigation report?
No, we know all the while that I don't want to go back to the Damagum issue, but all of this Damagum issue, this issue, is an offshoot of a presidential candidate who is in the opposition party, who wants to remain the perennial candidate of the party by hook or by crook.
Are we looking at Nyesom Wike? Is that what we're looking at? Or
Abubakar
Atiku,
So everything you are seeing from the, because they wanted to bring in Yari at the beginning, which will have something else, which is not even a PDP man. And then you see all the Damagum plays. It's just a play to edge out Atiku's camp. And then PDP will now say, okay, let's get a neutral candidate. You have tried 3 times and didn't succeed. You need to rest. And that man is not a man you can easily make to rest. So they are doing, all the drama you are seeing is only playing in that direction. There's nothing else happening in Nigerian political space than a plan to edge out Atiku, and then PDP now finds a fresh candidate who will be their presidential candidate for 2027. Now, who that will be is a big story for another day.
I know that Abidoye has an answer to that. Abidoye, I would like you to jump into this. The fact that the Senate President says attempt to impeach him was fake news. Do you think it's fake news? And do you see this going away anytime soon? Abidoye, are you there?
It is their call. It is their baby. Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. It is their call. It is the National Assembly's headache. All right. I don't think that should be something that Nigeria should begin to become apprehensive about. All right. For every rumor, there could be element of truth somehow. But to say that the president will be impeached is no news. Senate president in previous, administration has been impeached, as a matter of fact. But I think so far so good. Going by what we have seen in the last 1 year or thereabout, Senator Godswill Akpabio has been able to at least steer the affairs of the National Assembly, with every sense of stability, charisma, and all of that. But for me, that's not a priority right now that Nigeria should begin to look at. What I think is priority right now is what is, affecting an average citizens in this country. how, for instance, the price of fuel, can be looked at dispassionately and declare a state of emergency. Two, how the cost of living for an average Nigerian, can be mitigated with the federal government in working in tandem with the Senate, and maybe the executive arm to see how prices of commodity, something can be done drastically. Because like the previous discussant there was talking that life is becoming something else for an average Nigerian. People are going to depression seriously. So for me, that should be what we should be looking at, and not because one person is the impeachment now. Is it the priority that the Senate as a body should be looking at, rather than stabilizing the economy, rather than helping the system? At least the larger number, the larger percentage of both the lower house and the upper house are APC. What they should be looking at is how they can begin to meet, do consultation, confer with the presidency, and then among themselves to see how themselves can begin to reduce what they are enjoying at the expense of an average Nigerian right now. That is what I think they should be doing.
For the want of time, Abidoye, let's get into the last discourse of the day because of the want of time. Let's look at the local government autonomy. Is a big talking point where the Anambra State Governor, Chukwuma Soludo, has described absolute autonomy for local government areas in Nigeria as an impossibility, insisting that it will be a recipe for chaos. Do you agree with him? The fact that Soludo made the assertion while signing the local government administration law in Awka, according to him, the attendant challenges before the issue of local government autonomy are such that it will certainly deepen the fate of the system and spell doom for the expected beneficiaries of the process. Is he being completely honest? Do you agree with him that you're going to achieve transparency?
Well, as a matter of fact, the step taken by Charles Soludo is one person that I respect so much by his antecedent. But that decision that he has taken, through the State House of Assembly in Anambra State to pass a law, that is counterproductive, that is countering the decision of the Supreme Court, or for the first time, we must give it to this present administration. And that is one thing that is making Lagos State now to be moving in terms of infrastructural and human capital development. You will recall that the first time of Tinubu, Lagos was 20 local government. He had that battle with the then president, Obasanjo, when he said he wanted to create he wanted to create additional 37 SCDA in Lagos. It was a running battle that went to Supreme Court, and the federal government seized their monthly allocation and all that. To the glory of God, he came one of the biggest achievement for this present administration is the local government autonomy that took the matter to the state governors to the Supreme Court, and a judgment is being passed, and and that was supported or endorsed by the Senate too. So if we have seen something for 25 solid years, wherein a governor will be a governor for 8 years, elected, duly elected, he will not allow the chairman and the councillor to be elected. They will just be picking charlatans, mediocres, and then give them 6 months, 9 months, renew it, and then the resources that are supposed to, by the monthly allocation of resources, the 3 tiers of government, the federal government take 52%, the state government take about 26%, the remaining one goes to the local government, the 3rd tier. And that's why the only state in Nigeria today where you can see the local government, impact on the grassroots, on the life of our people is Lagos, without prejudice. All right? And that is because the system has, allowed the local government and the SCDA to be able to have access to funds so that they can collaborate and then complement what the state government is doing.
So would you say Soludo's move is counterproductive?
It is not fair to the system. Not now. Soludo should support that Supreme Court judgment. It wouldn't come up with that. And I can tell you that we will mobilize Nigeria. We are going to work with Algon. We are going to work with Norgate to ensure that that judgment stays. It is high time that local government should stand on their own and stop being an appendage and stop being a puppet in the hands of the governors who are, every 4-8 years, stabling them, choking life out of them, and then development does not get to the grassroots of the people. So it is a wrong decision for the governor of Anambra State to have done. We will do our best to ensure that does not stand. It will not stand.
All right,
We should
thank you
experience
very
a new
much.
thing now. Let the local government conduct the election. Let the state government hands off and let the money come directly to them. What I expect them to do is to set up, a committee that will ensure that every money that comes to the local government, they are accountable. The governors are not accountable. There's no probity. There's no accountability for 25 years. They are not doing anything they like as if they are Lord and Master. The power is too much in their hands.
All right, let me get the guests in the studio to also lend his voice to this talking point as we wrap up the program. For you, are you support with Abidoye saying that they're going to work together with Algon, Norgay, and all that, and review Nigeria 360 to ensure that Soludo does not get his way?
I'm fully in support of what he's saying. The governors have immunity. The local government chairmen do not have immunity. So it is better for us for the monies to be in the hands of people who do not have immunity. So that if the local government chairman messes up or disappears with fund, we don't need to wait for the end of his tenure to take him to court. This is a last mile delivery. For me, this is one of the best things the Tinubu administration has done to move power to the local government. We heard last week the federal government wants to retain 10% of funds and send 90% to the state and local government. This will reduce the clamor on Abuja. 60% of people in Abuja have no business being in Abuja. Because there's no resource in Abuja. There's only money sharing in Abuja. There's only power in Abuja. If you put power in all the 774 local governments, greater men with competence will now become local government chairmen. Because there will be big resources in their hands, they will be able to do projects within their local government. That money cannot go out of their local government. With this way, projects will spread to 774 local governments. So for a professor like Soludo to decide that he...
Was it a selfish move?
Too selfish, too childish, too petty, too dictatorial of him to try to stifle his... Does he have a problem with them? I thought they just finished their election. I thought his party won largely. If your party won largely, what is the issue that you have with the people that have not even fully come on board yet? Let the resources get to their hand. What I would ask him to do, if I was the one, let us know the projects you want to do in your local government. Let us look at your budget. Like I said, they do not have immunity. They can be probed on the first day of work.
All right, well said. I want to say a big thank you to Toba Owojai. He is a political aide and current affairs analyst joining me in the live studios. Not forgetting Isaliu Shatta, who is the regional advisor of Africa Quorum Group right here in Nigeria, and also not forgetting the global president of Rebuild Nigeria 360. He is the president of the foundation, talking about the peace, unity, restoration, and prosperity group, also looking towards making Nigeria a better country in the person of a model, Jeffrey Abidoye. Thank you for joining us via Zoom. My name is Anthony Momodu, saying thank you for being part of most convincing and compelling talk show on TV, The Desk on Global Television. Let's do this again tomorrow. Good evening.